Welcome to the Small Business Show. My name is Swire from Garuda Promo. In this episode, we have Ron Duval, the marketing detective. Ron has been a real-life detective from the law enforcement, and now he's into marketing services. Welcome, Ron.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Tell us a little bit more about your professional background. You have over 35 years of law enforcement experience, and how did you get into marketing?
I get asked that a lot. Seriously, it's how do you go from being a law enforcement to marketing? So, like you said, I was in law enforcement for 35 years with LA County Sheriffs, and like most deputies, when you graduate the academy, I went into work our jail system, and I did 10 months there. Then I went to patrol. So I have 4 years of patrol, and the rest of my career is I promoted to a gang detective. I worked as a gang detective for 22 years, and then I worked homicide for the Sheriff's Department for 8 years. So I have, like you said, 30 years of actual detective experience. The problem with being in law enforcement is you're married to the job.
Right.
Because it was fun. It wasn't about the pay, it was about helping people. People that really needed our help, and that was where the joy came for me. That was the passion. I loved what I did. But unfortunately, being married to the job leaves little for personal relationships.
Right.
So, I have 5 kids, and I was divorced. And at that point, I started living paycheck to paycheck, and I had to rent a room from a friend. Pretty much, I needed extra income to get my own place and to move out. So I started marketing online just to increase my income so I could have a better quality of life.
Does your research and work in law enforcement help you doing research for business owners?
Oh yeah, definitely. So in law enforcement, you have access to so many different tools. And over the years, because I actually started marketing online in 1999.
Okay.
I started with a multi-level marketing company, and the internet was just starting to expand, so I started marketing online and built up a huge downline, and I was bringing customers to my downline, and the profit would roll uphill. But that was my first taste of it. I thought, wow, there's so many things you could do with the internet. You could help people create incomes, which is what I was doing with network marketing. And the tools that started evolving for the internet just started growing. I have tools that allow me to run searches for specific industries or niches, where I can actually discover everything about their website, their business, who the owner is, who their phone numbers are, the email addresses, and it's great for when I'm trying to bring new customers or patients or clients to my personal clients.
Okay, it's good to know. I know that you probably get asked this question a lot, but there are so many different tools, platforms that we have digitally online. So which platform would you recommend? And do you think there's one that is more important than the others? Like talk about social media, website, SEO, local search, or other proprietary methods that you have.
Well, believe it or not, everything works hand in hand. Including traditional media. Not so much yellow pages anymore. But if you still do print media like postcards, direct mail, that works. Billboards still work. Signs on the sides of buses still works. That's all geared towards branding and getting your name out there and for recognition, because honestly, if you think about it, if you're driving down the street and you see a billboard, do you really have time to stop and write down that number?
No.
You don't. So they all work hand in hand, but in your mind, you remember what the billboard said.
I remember it.
And who was the one that actually posted the billboard. When you go online, everything works together as well. There's so many different tools and platforms that if you have shiny object syndrome like I do, I'm always buying new and better platforms and upgrading all the time. So you have websites, you have landing pages, or they're called lead pages. You have email and autoresponder systems. There's tools to simplify things. I got into a lot of animated videos for marketing my clients. And back then, you had to have a specific editing software for that. And it's evolved so much over the last 10 years especially that a lot of these tools are cloud-based now. So you don't have to actually download a system to your computer. You can do everything online. So it gives you the ability to create videos anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection. And the rendering time is so much faster. There's so many great tools out there that even people who don't want to pay somebody like me to do it, I teach them how to do it. But then they realize they don't have the time to do it, and then they come back to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So what I understand is it's not one that is better than the others, but rather if you want to market, you want to be on multi-platform.
Yes.
So you might see a billboard, you might be on benches, you may even do postcard. But then when they're ready, your company should be the first one that they think of.
Well, I always think I should be the first one to think of. Yeah, because I've invested in myself and my company over the past years a lot of money and time to do training. Like I said, the internet's always evolving, so you have to stay up on what's new and what's trending. Google, for instance, will change its algorithm. Here you've worked over the last year to a year and a half to get to the first page of Google, and all they do is they tweak their algorithm just a little bit, and next thing you know, you're not on the front page anymore. So you've got to adapt and be flexible with your marketing efforts and stay abreast of what the current trends are and things that are happening, especially with the two big ones, which is Google and Facebook.
Okay. I know that you have a proprietary strategy called the behavioral-based targeting. Can you tell us a little bit about the strategies and how it's different than most strategies that's out there right now?
Well, like I said, I invested in not only my personal growth, but the growth of my company. So what we have is our behavioral-based targeting or marketing is we invested in some coders, and we actually have our own script or programming, if you will, that works in conjunction with Google's algorithms. So as you know, you could be talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden you look on your computer, the next time you log on and there's ads about what you were talking about.
Right.
That's all part of what Facebook and Google does. That's how they grow their business, is based off of advertising dollars spent with them. So their algorithms pretty much track all your browsing history.
It's scary sometimes.
It is. So what we've done is we've actually created our own algorithm to work in conjunction with either our Facebook pixels or our Google Analytics, so that we can actually use the information for our clients. And what that means is, based off of your browsing experience, where are you shopping? Where are you actually buying products? That's what websites you're visiting. That goes into our algorithm so that when we're buying advertising space for banner ads or video ads for our clients, we know where you're going to go. Where do you frequently visit? What websites do you go to? And so now we've actually prepared for that. So the moment that you click and go to that website, and when you're talking advertising, it happens like that. The computer generates and buys the ad that quick. So the moment you go there, our ads can be right there, the number one ads.
Wow. Because I understand too, as a consumer, then you might not be ready to buy then, but 6 months later you revisit the same search keyword. Then, if you have the ad out there, then they might make the purchase right and then.
Exactly. So the way the behavioral-based targeting works is, we know which keywords you're searching, we know what websites you're visiting, we know what type of website you're visiting and what type of products you're actually purchasing. So we know what your interests are and what your behaviors are. It's kind of like being a profiler in law enforcement.
Right? So if you fit all those criteria, you probably are, these type of profiles.
Right. So what happens is most people ask us, well, how is that legal? How does that happen? And it's just based off of the pixels that are on the pages and cookies that are placed on the browser or the website. And it's just, they're there anyway. Whether you believe it or not, they're there anyway. Google's already placing them. Every website you visit is placing cookies onto your browser, so they can pretty much track what you're doing.
If this will be a powerful tool for people who like to market to their client. They really can dive into how they're thinking, how they're spending, what website they're, and maybe when and where they are, doing those researches. Then if your ad is out there, they see it all the time, then the chances of them purchasing is more likely.
Exactly. So what we do is, before we even onboard a client, is we do a discovery call. And based off of that call is I determine who is your most perfect client. Narrow it down to who is the person that spends the most money with your business. And what are their traits? What are their behaviors? What are their interests? And it all has to do on what product or service that you sell. So if we know that you're selling a certain type of product, that most people that buy your product have these same or similar interests
The criteria
or behaviors. Yeah, exactly. And so we can actually pinpoint the targeting for that. I like to call it kind of like being a sniper. Instead of just doing banner ads on the internet, it's kind of a shotgun approach and hoping that somebody is looking for you at the time, which is what Google AdSense is and Google AdWords. It's pay-per-click, they're based off of target keywords. But instead we're basing it off of your behavior. Where are you going? Do we track the keywords that they search? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but this is an interesting question. Sometime I asked my client is, who are you really targeting? Like, you buy promotional product from us for who? Like, who are you buying for? A lot of times, they don't know who they're trying to target. And in terms of marketing, you only have a certain budget you can spend. If you target everybody, then I don't think anyone has those kind of budget. So that's kind of funny. And that brings me to my next question. Do you have a set of criteria that you ask your client before signing on to them? Can you tell us what they are and why is it important to consider them before working with you?
So one of the first things that we work with is, I like helping local businesses, but most local businesses are just starting out or they're mom and pop, and they really have a limited advertising budget. Can they find somebody who's willing to do marketing for them for under $500? Yes. But in my experience over my last 20 years, you need at least a marketing budget of a minimum of $2,500. And that's just to get the results. You can do a Facebook campaign for $100. How many people are you searching? You can narrow down your criteria and create the perfect audience for yourself, but you need the ad budget for them to see the ads, because it takes people 8 to 10 touches. They have to see your ad 8 to 10 times before they'll actually take action on it. So just for them to see it the one time and actually click on it and come to your website is highly unlikely. There's people out there that can promise that. I don't. I'm honest with you. I'm open, transparent. I'm probably one of the only marketing agencies anywhere that offers a refund. I have a refund.
Wow.
When I take over your campaign, I'm going to get you results. If I don't, I'll refund you my service fees. The ad spend I can't refund because that's already paid to the ad networks. But for my services, I refund that money. And I do require a $2,500 minimum. I look for businesses that are established, have 6 to 7 figure incomes that are looking to even grow their business. They already have to have a marketing budget because they understand that 17 to 20% of your budget should be towards marketing to get new business. And that's one of the things I require. because I get so much success with our behavior-based targeting, I get a lot of other agencies that call me a lot.
Wow, okay.
You know, and what they're doing is they're kind of feeling me out and trying to find out what I do and how we do
Right.
it. So what I usually tell my clients is, this is what I'm going to do, because if I see something's not working, we're trying one type of a strategy, and it's not working, it's not getting the results, I'm not going to continue with that strategy. I'm going to shut down that campaign and switch to our Plan B campaign.
Right.
Well, am I going to tell you about it? I'll tell you about it when I have time, because I don't have time to call you to get approval for it. When you market with me, it's you're putting your trust and faith in me, which is why I offer the guarantee. You know, I don't charge. Believe it or not, there's a lot of companies out there that charge a percentage of your ad spend. You know, for example, they're charging you $500 a month to run your campaign, and then they want $1,000 to go towards ad spend. They'll take anywhere from 10 to 24% of the ad spend on top of the $500 they're already getting.
Wow. That's a big markup.
And for me, it's why? That's their ad spend. And then let's say they want to double the ad spend, and now they raise their fee because they say it's now into a different tier because you're at a different ad spend level. And so if they go to $2,000, now they're taking 10% of $2,000, that's $200 more, and they'll charge you, instead of $500, they're charging you $750 or $1,000. Why? They're still doing the same exact thing. All it was increased was the
In a
ad
bigger
spend.
scale.
Right. So I charge a flat rate. You know, based off what the project is, I charge anywhere from $750 to $1,000 a month to do my services, plus your ad spend. Your ad spend is your ad spend. And I don't charge any setup fees, and I change the creative every month. I don't want people to get banner blindness, or video blindness, so I change the banners and the videos every month so that it's fresh and new for the people seeing it. Because if somebody has seen your ad 5 times, we call it banner blindness. It's the next 6, 7, 8 times.
You just ignore it.
It just passes by. But if you change it up a little bit, even though it's the same company, same message, just change the people in it. That alone, that many times gets a higher click-through rate than just keeping the same ad.
It's good information. Ron, let me change the focus a little bit. And I know that you do a lot of networking. Why should a digital marketing expert like yourself, instead of, you focus a lot in the digital space, to skip face-to-face networking? Why just do it all online and skip all the networking, go into Chamber of Commerce? Why do you found value in terms of face-to-face networking?
I'm kind of old school. I believe looking at how people talk to you, looking people in the eye, you develop a connection, and that connection is trust. You know, most people think of internet marketers as spammers or scammers, that they're out to just try to take your money. That's not me. You know, I belong to different organizations, different chambers of commerce, the Better Business Bureau. And why? Because I want people to trust me, knowing that what I say I'm going to do, and if I don't, I'll give them some of their money back. Networking has been a big deal with me. When I go to these events, it's finding out about them, talking to them, seeing them face to face, and it's just that personal connection. You know, finding out a little bit more about them. You know, learning, are they married? Do they have kids? What are their hobbies? What are their interests? Because maybe there's other levels that you can connect on. And whether or not we do business together, maybe we're not a good fit for each other, but now you developed a friend and you can actually do things with a friend. Mm-hmm. And I find that you really want to help friends more than you do anybody else.
Well, I'm sure with your law enforcement background, you're really good at interviewing and reading the body language from the client.
So I've had extensive training in interviewing and interrogation techniques. And that was one of the problems I first had when I decided to open up my agency full time. Was I was doing more interrogation than interviewing because I was still in that mindset and not really listening. I was taking and listening and getting those bits and pieces and throwing it back at them instead of learning and understanding what their why is for their business. Mm-hmm. You know, and what is their passion about the business, and then expounding upon that and finding the perfect customer or client for them.
Do you get referrals from as a client for your marketing services?
Oh yeah, so like you, I'm also a member of BNI, and I've had referrals come into me from my chapter members that have actually gone to what we call Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, and Tier 5, which means I've had a referral come into me, establish that as a client. That client referred me to one of their friends or business colleagues, and then that friend or business colleague referred me to one of theirs and to one of theirs. So for me, those are the better clients because there's more of a trust issue, and it kind of helps with your reputation. You know, it's not only have I helped you, but I've helped your friend and then your friend's friend, and that's actually better for my business than just
So you
helping one
think
person.
that's better than cold calling and prospecting in general?
You still have to do it. I hate cold calling because I hate when people cold call me. I feel like I'm intruding in somebody's space. I like warm, friendly meetings.
Right.
A cold call for me is going to a chamber event or to a networking event and walking up to somebody and saying hi and
Giving your cards.
introducing myself. To me, that's the best type of cold call there is, because now you're dealing with a person face to face.
Okay. Well, the last question that I have is, let's say, this show is for small business, and we have a lot of question about marketing. And in terms of digital marketing, if they haven't still been on the bandwagon, they haven't started, like where should they start?
That depends based off of where they're at. So have they got a website? You know, websites really aren't huge for selling products on. It's more of a brochure. It's more of a information about you, and it gives your business credibility. And one of the things that's basic about a website is you must show a privacy policy, have terms of use, and have legitimate contact information on there. Whether it's a physical address or a legitimate email, but more importantly, you need to have a contact phone number, because one of the most troubling things that a visitor has when they come to your website is if there's no way to contact you, they're not going to do business with you.
Yeah, sometimes company hide their contact information. Like, I can't find you, I want to call you to do business with you, but you can find them. And I think you're right. Sometimes I'll meet people at the Chamber of Commerce, they give me the card. I went to their website, it's different than how they approach the business.
Right.
You know, like you kind of tell and give people perspective about where you are and what kind of business you are, for your website.
Yeah. So, and then it just goes from there. So it's one of the first things I do for my clients is I'll run what we call a SEO search of their website. It's an audit for search engine optimization. What are the keywords you have on it? Is your website optimized to rank well on the search engines, specifically Google? So #1 search engine. Has the company moved or changed the phone numbers? Especially if you've been established for a long time, just doing something as simple as moving or changing your phone number, your other site will show up with that phone number.
Yeah, you confuse people.
Right. So before I even start marketing and actually trying to drive traffic to your website, I want to make sure your website can be found online. Are you in the proper directories that you should be? Are you on the search engines? And so that's the first thing I do is I correct all their listings. I make sure that they can first be found online before we even start to drive traffic to them.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot. I'll find like a restaurant or especially if you have a more normal name that could be confused with other companies. You got to be able to be found before people want to do business with you.
Yeah, and it's so hard to get people to understand that. It's people know and they realize they need to be on social media. They need to be on Yelp. They need to be here. They need to be there. And every time that you create those profiles, you have to create them exactly the same way, including down to if you're in a suite and you put STE one time and maybe STE period, or you spell out suite, because they're not the same, those will show up as errors. And when you have errors, it reduces, the algorithm with Google reduces your ranking ability.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is your site mobile friendly? You have to have a responsive website, meaning your website has to adhere to whatever platform the visitor is using, whether it's a cell phone. And cell phones, the screen sizes are different, so your website has to conform to each one of those sizes.
Yeah.
So it means you have to optimize your website to be friendly. There was a thing in 2016 that Google had that they called it Mobilegeddon. If your website is not mobile friendly, Google will not rank you on the first page. You have to have a mobile friendly website.
And been reading a report, people just search, especially for local businesses,
Yeah.
people just do it on their phone. You know, they
Yeah.
don't go to your website.
Believe it or not, 80% of all online searches start from a mobile device. And so then when you're optimizing your website, do you have a map on your website? Do you have a phone number on it? And when you're optimizing everything for your website, you need to do what we call long tail keywords. Some of the terms would be, for example, the Swire Ho Show Claremont, the Swire Ho Show Upland. The reason being, if somebody's searching for you, and based off of where they are, because when you're doing online searches, Google knows where you are, or it'll ask for your location. So one of the most common terms is a restaurant near me.
Right.
So that should be a key phrase somewhere on your website and in your optimization for your website. Your business name near me, as a term. But always use your city, always put your phone number, so that when people are searching for you,
Right.
it shows up.
They can call you right away.
Because if the GPS shows you that you're in Upland and you're looking for a restaurant in Upland, you want to have your restaurants in Upland and your phone number in the title. Because what will happen is most people will look at it, and if they see the phone number, they can just click on it and call right away. And those are some of the key tips that you have. That's why you have to stay abreast of what's working, what's not working, what's trending. Because as soon as you get there, Google's going to change it up, or Facebook's going to change it up again. And the reason they do that is to create an advantage, take away the unfair advantage for everybody, and make it open playing field again.
I know there are so many things that we got to pay attention to and keep update. And if any viewers have any questions for you, Ron, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
You can either just go to my website or call. I'm one of the few people that actually gives out my cell phone number.
Okay.
They can call me direct. I have clients that call me all the time.
Okay.
So.
All right. That's all the questions we have. Thank you for Ron coming by today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.